It was March 1997. Evening had fallen upon the quaint little ranch I was currently calling home in Lower Oregon. The day had been overcast, and now that the sun had dipped below Dollar Mountain and filled the cloudy sky with a dull, rustic color that settled on the dilapidated barn and chicken coops like dust. The Rogue River, which ran along our ranch's southern border, was a dark, oily color. The black ripples almost seemed to bubble, as if something lurked, waiting, below its depths. The water seemed thick, able to latch onto an unsuspecting arm, reaching for a river stone and pull the bearer of the arm into the abyss with no hope of escape. I sat in the middle of my bed, safe from the edges and whatever unknowns lurked around my cold tile floor at this time of day. My family wasn't home. Why? I don't know. I wasn't scared. This was normal. I just wasn't aware of what the actual circumstances were. The rustic light of the evening peered around my dark curtains, illuminating a small square of my blue wall with a dim glow. Similar to the evening light, I peered from the safety of my bed around the corner of my wooden door into the darkness of the hallway. Unlike the evening light, my eyes were useless at casting any perceivable light into the dark. I hadn't heard anything in the rest of the house the entire evening. Silence met my ears. Silence reminiscent of the woods surrounding our ranch at night. The sort of silence that conjured terrifying imaginations within the human mind. I plopped on my left elbow and stretched my neck. At this angle, I could see the entry into the hallway, and beyond, the dining room and the kitchen were bathed in the soft, rustic light. No lights were on in the rest of the house. My bedroom light wasn't on either. Why? That's unimportant to this story. It was a normal occurrence, but the silence that had fallen upon the house was not. I stared into the kitchen, observing the shadows enveloping the stove and crawling up over the sink as the evening light began to fade. Nothing had moved an inch. Why? Why had nothing out there moved in so long? Was it something I had done? I sat back up straight and leaned back against the cool surface of my blue wall. I dropped my chin down onto my chest. Beneath my faded, blue Mickey Mouse shirt, I could see my chest bouncing slightly, my heart palpating with greater and greater vigor as the silence set in deafeningly around me, replacing the rustic glow of evening in my room with darkness. It made no sense to close my eyes. The blackness I saw beneath my lids was the same which now surrounded me. It would be a waste of senses to shut them and miss even the slightest hint of movement. Just as suddenly as the last of the evening glow left my room, I heard a faint whisper emanating from the hallway. In the silence that filled the entire house, the whisper sounded like an explosion of air, like the sound my dad's air compressor makes when he opens the valve to release the air. But only the spring valve that you have to hold open, because the whisper was brief and sharp. My head shot back up, and my eyes squinted into the darkness of the hall. Although my room was now shrouded in blackness, other areas of the house had larger windows and no dark curtains, and my eyes could just make out the rustic glow floating from outside the hallway. I sat perfectly still, doing my best to open my ears, if that was at all possible. I still couldn't see any movement, and the only noise filling my ears was the inward echo of my own heartbeat. I grabbed the nearest thing to me, my soft pearl-colored bunny rabbit with the torn Kiss t-shirt, and held it close as if it would suffice as a shield against an unseen attacker. Carefully, I slid off the bed's foam mattress. The tile was cold and made my feet feel numb. Inching toward my door, the dining room and kitchen came into view once again. The rustic light was much dimmer now, but it was still there, just barely illuminating the more obvious features of those rooms, like the dining room set and the off-white fridge standing in the furthest corner. I finally came up to my door. Cautiously, I stuck my head around the corner. The hallway stretched on, long and imposing. At the end, one door on the left led into the family office, where we kept our DOS computer and all the encyclopedias Mom had bought from the salesman who came to our house last summer. To the right was my parents' room, with the large waterbed and oval chair my mom sat in to read her scriptures. I could see the evening light bleeding into the hall from those rooms. Suddenly, my eyes could just discern a second light, slightly brighter than the evening light, flickering in my parents' room. There shouldn't have been any other lights on. I was alone, and I hadn't turned anything else on all evening. Grasping my rabbit, I inched into the hallway. I liked the cold of the tile. It kept me from letting a haze envelop my mind with untethered imagination. I crept past the doors to the water heater, past the family portraits, peering down at me with alarm as I ventured forward. Finally, I stepped up to my parents' doorway. They had large windows with light-colored curtains, and the rustic evening light continued to flood their furnishings with pale luminescence. My dad's trophies and guns sitting in one corner, my mom's pillows and ceramic dolls staring at me from the head of that waterbed. Nothing amiss here. All was as I always knew it. The slight flicker of light, though, was coming from the bathroom. Carefully, I stepped up to the bathroom door, and peering inside, I saw a small candle sitting atop the sink, its small yellow flame flickering dimly on the sink and toilet and cabinets. My parents must have forgotten to put it out before they left. I wanted to put it out, but for some reason, stepping into that bathroom filled me with a sense of dread. Why? I'd been in their bathroom many times before. What was different now? As I was contemplating this, I heard it again, the same harsh whisper. This time, I understood what it said. It was a single word. Nicholas. It came from the mirror. My eyes shot up to the glass surface hanging above the sink. The light of the sink illuminated the mirror, and in it I could see my dark figure, my back facing the last of the evening light, standing in the doorway. But behind me, another figure, not dark, but pale and luminescent, as if glowing with the same evening glow that flooded the ranch. As I looked closer, I realized it was my mother. Instead of the loving, nurturing features I expected to see, her face was twisted, filled with terror and angst. She reached out to me, a single pale arm thrust through the mirror, toward my screaming face. Hey. I shook awake, suddenly aware I was back in my bed, on my 3-inch foam mattress, with my fan blowing in the corner, and my wife shaking my shoulder. Hey, are you okay? You're making that terrifying sound again. A dream? Yeah, that must have been it. A dream I've been having since I was young. I didn't want to think about what it meant, and I didn't want to experience it again. So I simply lay there, staring into the darkness of my white wall as my wife began snoring again. It was early morning. The sun was getting ready to come up, and the soft glow of urban light illuminated one small square on the otherwise dark wall.